We'll be back from the break and let's continue with our discussions. And on today's topic, we will be discussing the East African crude oil pipeline project. The future of the oil and gas sector in Uganda has made many Ugandans optimistic of what lies ahead of them, of the opportunities and what we can get out of this particular one. And joining me on set is Solomon Muita, the Principal Communication at the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Many thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
All right. Let's kickstart our discussion from there. Last week, the final investment decision was taken. What does this mean to Uganda? What does the final investment decision mean?
Well, this simply means that the international oil companies that we license in Uganda have now made a decision or a determination of how much they want to invest in Uganda. Because it's one thing to come in, expression of interest is one thing. But having been here for some years and done a bit of groundwork, now they were able to determine that so much is what we want to sink into Uganda because they've seen that it's profitable and this is what they are likely to get out. So they determine at the highest level how much they want to sink in. Because this is business, they want to put in money and they know what they are going to get out. So they said, we are starting with $10 billion US, investing into development of the central processing facilities. We have Total and CNOOC, and then the East African crude oil pipeline. So Total is operating fields in Bulisa and Nwoya called Tilenga project. And then CNOOC, the Chinese company, is operating the Kingfisher project. So they'll put up central processing facilities there, and then flow lines and feeder lines, flow lines from the oil wells to the CPF, where they will do primary cleaning up of the crude just to remove the unwanted substances. Okay. Then the crude now is taken through a feeder line from the central processing facility up to where the East African crude oil pipeline is going to start at Kabale in Hoima. Okay. So each of these projects will now transport that crude through those feeder lines. They are underground pipes to Kabale, where we are going to have an airport. Uganda is going to put the refinery, and that's where the East African crude oil pipeline will start and evacuate the oil from there up to Tanga in Tanzania, okay, where it will be sold on the international market. Right. So that is the meaning of FID. They declared they are going to invest, the money is available, so the engineering, procurement, and construction have started.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, who are the major stakeholders in the project? We hear of CNOOC and Total in here. Yes. Who are the major stakeholders? And if you'd also help us understand what does the percentage mean or represent?
Okay. We have two international oil companies in Uganda. They are working together with a Ugandan company because government had because government has a share on the oil. But governments are not good at doing business directly. So Uganda had to create a business arm. That is Uganda National Oil Company. So Uganda National Oil Company, or UNOC, has a stake in the business. When Total drills the oil from Tilenga areas, UNOC holds the government shares.
On behalf of the Ugandans?
On behalf of the Ugandans. Then to CNOOC, when CNOOC does business drills from Kingfisher, UNOC still has a share of that. So they transport the crude together and each party will take off its own share. and Ugandans will have their own share. Yeah. In the pipeline, we have 4 partners in the pipeline. We have Uganda with 15%. Tanzania has 15%. Total Energies has the biggest share because it's sinking in most of the money. So it has 62% of the share in the pipeline.
Okay.
And then CNOOC. CNOOC has 8%.
Okay.
Yes.
And also speaking of Tanzania, figures show that Tanzania has 15% and so does Uganda.
Yes.
What does the 15% represent?
Well, this is according to how much is investment each of these stakeholders decided to. Because at one point it was 100% was available for these 4. Okay. Ideally, each one of them should have taken 25%.
Okay.
But out of choice and out of how much resources each one of the entities had, it just turned out that Uganda said it could only afford 15%.
Okay.
Because this project requires 3.5 billion.
On an annual basis?
No. That is the investment required to put up the pipeline.
Okay.
$3.5 billion US dollars.
Oh.
Now, as a country, we didn't have all the money to buy all the 25% that was available to us. We didn't have. Even Tanzania did not have all the money. So it now remained, it had to be Total or CNOOC to take up the rest. After we took off 30, they had 70% available. And CNOOC also, I think, decided to invest not a lot in the pipeline. So Total said, we are happy to take up the rest of the shares. We have the resources, we are going to sink them in. Also, because Total, I think, has some other oil somewhere in, that can connect through Tanzania, either from Zimbabwe. Yeah, they have some other. So it was, strategically, it worked for them to invest in a bit of money, and here we are. Okay. We have majority of the shares.
Now let's talk about the opportunities available for the Ugandans. The idea, when the Ugandans had of the final investment decision, theirs was one some of them. Then the others, we shall come to that. But let's try to look at what are the opportunities that are available for the Ugandans.
Well, for starters, Uganda has come up with laws to govern what we call local content. And local content is a framework to make sure that Uganda benefits from the projects. Because, like international companies, they may desire to come with all the workers, everything. They may desire to invest in and also take out as much as they can. But as a country, we had to think about our people, our interests. So for starters, we said, all the small jobs, you don't have to bring people to do all these, technical jobs, which we can do. So whatever Ugandans can do, you don't bring an expatriate, according to the law. Okay. And whatever we cannot do, yes, you can bring an expatriate, but we are going to team you with the Ugandan to understudy you and make sure that after so many years, when they perfect the art or the skills, then they can take over from you. Okay. That's one. Two, there are areas you're supposed to train Ugandans both here on job and also send them out there for training as a company is part of the conditions. So every time, every period, these companies have to report to us that in this quarter we sent some 20 Ugandans or 50 Ugandans for training in this skill
Okay.
related to the industry. So they come back with that skills certification and they're able to take on the jobs. 3, when it comes to supply or contracting, there are areas where we are saying those should be for Ugandans. For instance, transportation. You don't need to bring foreigners to do transportation.
When you have the locals.
We know that this sector is going to be, for instance, utilizing not less than 300 trucks a day. We are saying that should be for Ugandans.
Okay.
Supply of the things we have here. Cement, you can't import cement. You can't import aggregate. You cannot import sand.
We have that in plenty here.
Hotel services, medical services, insurance. There are quite a number of things that fuel that Ugandans can do.
Okay.
So we are saying these areas, there are 16 different areas, where we're saying these are ring-fenced for Ugandans. Because our intention is to make sure that the Uganda, even before the oil comes out of the ground in 2025, we are saying a Ugandan should benefit. Fine, you've made the declaration, you've announced how much you want to invest in this industry, but a portion of that should stay. The Ugandan should earn from that. We have so many project-affected persons that have been waiting for payment. Now this is the time for them to start getting paid for their land, because the pipeline is running through their lands, through their home, through their gardens. They've been waiting for the money. So now that the money has come, they are going to be the first priority.
Okay.
So all in all, we have, at least we know that not less than 10,000 people will be directly employed, Ugandans, not less than 10,000 directly employed by the projects. About 50,000 will be indirectly employed. Indirectly means that if I'm a truck driver and my boss gets a contract with these firms, then I'm going to be fully occupied there as a driver for that truck, or as a supplier, or 50,000. Then there are what we call induced employment. For instance, a hotel, someone is going to put up a 5-star hotel near the project and is going to hire people to work there. In a way, they are strategically positioned there to serve the projects. So the expatriates will sleep there, they will eat there, they will go there for leisure, and so on. So all these people working in those facilities, hospitals,
because
hotels,
I also want to also talk
parks.
about which sectors are going to benefit firsthand. There was an article I read in the newspapers which was actually showing that the real estate sector may pick up greatly with this project.
Certainly, there's going to be a lot of hotel,
Okay.
like you're saying, real estate, because people have started putting up apartments, modern apartments there, hospital facilities, and tourism. Tourism, recreational parks, such facilities. Someone can put up a beach at the shores of the lake, Lake Choga. You can put up a facility. Agriculture. Agriculture, we expect it to pick up because some of the byproducts from oil are going to be used to make fertilizer, and and these companies are also doing a lot of corporate social responsibility. For instance, there's one which is running already under Stanbic, the Stanbic Incubation Hub, which is training many of these people in modern agricultural practices, but it's being paid for. The training is free to the beneficiaries, but the companies are investing in money
to see that people get to
understand. CSR to help the communities develop. So yeah, those sectors are going to benefit immensely during this period, and
Okay. Now, that aside, speaking of the sectors that will benefit, Ugandans are excited that with this, the oil and all that, we shall have very few, or fuel prices will be low. And as a matter of fact, before we actually go in for a break, I would want you to highlight something about why do we still have some of these petrol stations hiking these fuel prices? Should we say now that is the price that we're going to have for the whole of the year?
A government has come out strongly to inform the public that the prices are high and they should come down. Okay. Actually, we are pushing for the prices to go back to what they were in November, before the festive season in December. We had a crisis. Yes, we had a crisis. Two things happened. We had a bit of global fuel hike that originally increased the prices from about 4.2 average to about 4,500. But then we had the disruption at the border, which also led to the most recent increase in the month of January. Now, the whatever caused the disruption has been taken care of by the government. The congestion at the border has been cleared. We know that stocks ran a bit low in the country, and partly what caused the increment in prices was that some of the smaller companies have been buying from the big companies internally. Instead of a company waiting for its fuel tank to come from Kenya or Tanzania, they've been conveniently buying from within. So you go to the neighboring station, if they have some fuel, they can sell you a truck and you take to your station. Now what they've told us is that they've been buying the fuel internally but expensively. So for them to make a little profit on top of what they've spent to buy, that is how they hike a bit of the price. But we are expecting full stability. Maybe in the next 10 days, we should have full stability. Right. Because trucks have been moving, the route has been cleared, stocks have been, have been rising now. All these storage tanks are being filled. And we expect in the next 10 or 2 weeks period, the stocks to have been restored. So once you restore, no one is going to come back and tell us stories of I'm still buying expensively from the neighbor, because we know at what cost they buy it from Kenya or Tanzania, we know. And we know how much transport they put in. Okay. So they cannot again come back with the same stories of the shortage, it's expensive, because we know.
Okay.
So we expect the prices to go back to what they were. Right now it's still a bit up by about 500 or 550, but we expect that figure to drop back to what it was.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And with that, we are going in for a short break. When we do return, we shall try to sum up this discussion, looking at when Uganda get its first oil. I think most of you are really ready to receive that news. When shall we be able to produce our first oil? That and more is what is coming up after the break. Stick around.